My name is Suzanne Sayre, and I am a health and wellness outreach specialist for Seacoast Mental Health Center from Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And I'm here to show you how to stretch before and after exercise so that your body is warmed up properly and how you can cool down properly to prevent injury. There are three forms of stretching: dynamic stretching, static stretching, and myofascial stretch. This video is going to focus on dynamic stretching and static stretching. Dynamic stretching is done before you exercise, and I'm going to demonstrate my favorites for you. Dynamic, just by the name, means you're moving as you stretch, but for people who've got balance challenges, I suggest just staying in place, holding on to something, and you can do the same dynamic stretches without moving around. So I'll demonstrate both. I'll start with the in-place dynamic stretch for those who've got balance challenges. And you can hold on to a kitchen counter, you can hold on to your car, a tree, anything that you need to support yourself. And you can start simply by lifting up one knee, then the other. High marching. For the advanced people who don't necessarily have concerns about balance, I call it a knee hug. Bring the knees up and hug. For those who really want to challenge their balance and warm up, they will simply hug, step, hug, step, hug, step. Then you want to warm up the back part of your hip. So you might do a knee up and a kick back, a knee up and a kick back. For those who have balance issues and challenges, you can just hold in place and get front and back. For those who want to be more mobile, you can bring your knee up and bring your leg back. Bring your knee up, bring your leg back, knee up, leg back. Hip swing. Hold on to a tree or your car and just simply move the leg forward and back. Doing both sides, switcheroo. Then you can go into a high kick. In place if you want to, or you can move. For warming up the ankle, I'll often have somebody hold onto a tree or a car and just simply pedal out the ankle, pedal out the feet. Then there is the walking lunge. Step forward, drop the knee down, lift the arms up. If you want to add rotation, you can. Step forward, knee down, rotate, step forward, knee down, rotate, step forward, knee down, rotate. Hip cradle is a little bit more challenging to do and hold on to something at the same time. So you might want to just lean up against something. You can lean up against a tree or a car, but it's bringing the knee up and across the chest, essentially. Or if you were walking, it would look like this. And that prepares the body for exercise. Everything is warmed up, and you should be able to exercise and move a lot more freely. And now we're going to do some cool down static stretching. And the purpose for that is just to help lengthen the muscles after they've been worked. The goal with static stretching is to hold for a minimum of 30 seconds and up to 60 seconds if you can. But for the purposes of this video, just to keep it a short video for you, I'm going to go through them rather quickly. You can watch the video first and write them all down, and then you can go through the video with me and do them, and then you can do them on your own separately from the video and just hold each one for a lot longer. I oftentimes will time. I'll use my cell phone with 30-second timer because sometimes we think 30 seconds have gone by and it's really actually 10. So the timing with the cell phone helps you keep honest with being at least a 30-second stretch. So after we've done our exercise, sometimes it's easy just to go from toe to head so that we don't miss anything. And if you do the same thing each time, it becomes automatic and you don't even have to think about it. So the first stretch for static stretching is stretching out our lower leg. It's often called a calf stretch or a runner stretch. And I'm going to pretend that there's a tree or something I can hold on to that's right in front of me. And I'm going to lean in with one leg, and I'm going to hold on to something for balance. And as I shift my weight forward, the back ankle is getting a stretch, the lower leg. And I would sit there and I would hold it for about 30 seconds. And after 30 seconds, I would simply shift and change. So now you've got both ankles stretched out, leaning forward, holding onto a car or a tree or something. Let 30 seconds go by. And then from there, the next joint that we want to stretch would be the knee. So if you've got the flexibility, you can simply hold onto something for balance, and you can use the same hand with same ankle and bring that heel up toward the bottom. I need to hold on to something. If you don't have the flexibility, I often have people use a scarf or something that they can wrap around the front part of their lower leg, and they take that scarf and they use a strap or something to help get them that same stretch. 30 seconds goes by, and then you shift and do the other side for 30 seconds. Some people, their anatomy, they're more comfortable doing opposite hand to ankle. You have to do what feels better for you. The other muscle we want to stretch in our knee is our hamstring, the back part. So to stretch the hamstring, it can be done multiple ways. If you're outdoors, you could simply place your foot forward, shift your hips backward. Very important, hip hinge forward, not rounding at the back and ruining your back, but hip hinge and just lean a little bit forward, and you should feel a stretch in the back of the hamstring. You can flex the ankle, you can drop the foot, either one. If you flex, you get a little bit extra stretch in that gastroc muscle. If you let the foot lower, you get a nice stretch in the shin. And then you shift and do the other side. Foot forward, hip hinge, hips back, stretching out that hamstring. Working our way up to the hip, you can do the side to side stretch. Again, if you need to hold on to something for balance, and modify how deep you go into the stretch depending on what your body will allow you to do. Now I shifted from side to side. You can for a dynamic warm-up version, or you can hold 30 seconds and do your static stretch. Hip flexor. Everyone wants to know how to stretch their hip flexor. I got a couple of ways to stretch hip flexor. One of my favorites is to take your right leg, go back onto the ball of your foot, go into a little bit of a pelvic tilt so your pelvis goes a little bit under. Balance is not good. And drop that back knee down. You can adjust the length between your feet as you're going down, and pelvic tilt, and you should feel a really good stretch in that hip flexor. If you're more flexy, you can go all the way down, and you can shift forward, and you can feel that stretch in the hip flexor. And if you're really flexy, you can take your back leg and hold as you stretch forward. Everyone has different bodies, different anatomies, different abilities, and you got to kind of find what fits for you. So that's hip flexor. The other stretch that people will often do after they've been walking or running or biking is to lie on your back and do what they call a figure 4 stretch. And I will demonstrate that. Lying on the back, you take an ankle, you cross it over the opposite knee. For some, this is enough of a hip stretch. For others who are flexible, you just reach behind the knee and pull that knee in. And change sides. Ankle across knee, pull that knee in, and that will get the outside hip muscle. From here, you could also stretch out the hamstrings this way. Again, holding for at least 30 to 60 seconds for a good static stretch. And last but not least, lower trunk rotation. You drop your knees to one side, you reach with the opposite arm, and you get a good trunk rotation stretch. Hold that for 30 seconds. And switch sides. And then roll to your side to get back up again. For those who are challenged by getting back up from floor, roll to your side, get up on the knees, bring one leg in front of you, lean forward and get up. So that's the stretching routine that I often do after I exercise. Ankles, knees, hips, low back, and you're good to go.